everyone, this is Freya Usman, EDI Innovation Manager at Dynamo North East. So thank you so much for joining us on our third episode of the EDI series. And Dynamo has taken a unique approach to address it by embracing it, dignifying it, inspiring from it. Today we have a very interesting topic, a topic that we don't normally talk about, a topic we might not know as well. On our episode 3, we've chosen to speak about ethnocentrism. We all do it. So you must be thinking, what is ethnocentrism? So it is a term that refers to believing that one person's cultural identity and beliefs are better than the other, and it does happen. So some of you might be thinking it doesn't happen, but it does. It is the superiority complex and doesn't only refer to a specific group of people, but has its roots in almost every part of the world. Today we have a really exciting topic, and I think we all can relate to it. And those of you who do not know about it will get to know it. Will get to know more about it by the end of this episode. I think to discuss this, when we were looking for a guest, we had to look for somebody who has an equally amazing personality and somebody who can really discuss this topic and can relate to it as well. So, likewise, we have an exciting topic today. Equally, we have an amazing guest on the show as well. Let me just introduce you to Nigel Kalra, who is the multicultural and innovative people partner at Sage Group. He is a senior strategic leader with international HR, OD, and diversity and inclusion experience. He's very passionate about diversity, data, culture, and change management. Let's welcome him onto the show. Hello.
Hi.
Nigel.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you so much. How are you today?
I am good, thank you. Considering it's a lockdown, I think we have just learned to manage everything, work, family, pets, considering what your space is, partner space, multitasking. I think it's doing well, good. I'm looking forward to Christmas, to be very honest.
Yeah, me as well. So thank you so much, first of all, for joining us on this very crucial topic, EDI. And then I think I've explained you a little bit about ethnocentrism. So before we go into the topic, let's hear from you about your work. What do you do at Sage?
Yeah, so I have been for almost 4 years. I joined as a talent partner and currently also working in several projects on the merger and acquisition and also leading the diversity and inclusion for Sage for UK. And very exciting work. We're doing a lot of work at the minute. We have acquired a lot of organizations around the world. It comes along with a new culture coming in and how do we integrate and also support colleagues on day-to-day basis. It's an exciting journey we are in at the minute, and I'm looking forward to 2021, where we will be coming up with new programs around race and ethnicity too. So it will be one of the best time of the year, which I'm really excited about.
That's great. That's great. So obviously, as we've explained about, we will be talking about ethnocentrism. So what do you think is the mindset about the ethnocentrism?
As you mentioned earlier, ethnocentrism is judging another culture based on the values and the standard sets in its own culture. Growing as a Latino, you would always be thinking on doing what your parents have taught you, what education you had. When you go out in the world with your friends and your families, you tend to kind of point at the finger and say, Mama, why are they dressed like that? Daddy, why are they wearing turban? Why is this woman, covering her veil on her face? And that's where the ethnocentrism begins. You start questioning yourself, you start questioning other people. It's very natural. It is because of the culture, the education, the background where you are in have been brought in. And then when you're exposed to the external world, then you start questioning. But at the same time, there could be an extreme, and that's where the ethnocentrism begin. And where the other side is xenocentrism, where you think you are not all superior. And it all begins because you feel that you're not getting those privileges, and the other people have those better privileges, and that's where xenocentrism comes in. And then ethnocentrism is all about where you feel your culture, your behavior are more superior than others. Example, for example, the Western culture thinks that the other part of the world like Asia or Africa are considered to be, third world, because they have farms and everywhere is jungles and things. So it is a mindset that people have. And that's where the whole cultural conflict begins. And that's where the cultural changes and cultural understanding has to come in place. And there is a term that we use in our sociology where, and to be more pragmatic and to be more considerate, you have to be realism, where you have to believe, you have to put yourself in the shoes of other people and try to think, why is someone behaving or eating or doing something in a different way than your own culture.
That's great. I think you have explained to everybody in very, in a very detailed manner what is ethnocentrism. So obviously, when we interact people
Mm.
with different cultures, with different ethnic backgrounds, some of the people do not understand of their, position or
Yeah.
of their culture. They're not aware of that, and I believe that we must keep in mind that respecting different cultures, their values, and their beliefs should be our priority, and it should be a way of living as well, because it's giving respect. Obviously, you've spoken about the Western culture. You have spent quite a long time in working here and obviously in living here as well. What factors do you think contribute to being ethnocentric?
The factors that actually contribute is your culture, your education background. It has a huge influence, but at the same time is the upbringing. It is the surrounding that you have been brought up in, and it really influenced that. You influence your own belief. Ethnocentrism has been in our culture since I don't know how many years. Let's talk about Nazi movement and the fight that we had in Germany, where Hitler always believed that Jewish don't belong to the society and they are from the Aryan race. So, and there was a fight, and there were thousands and millions of people died in the World War II, and that is the extreme of ethnocentrism that was there. Just take, for example, of people who, in India, they don't like to slaughter. They don't slaughter cows because they believe cows are the part of their religion. And it is important to it's important to understand where are they coming from. Similarly, in Pakistan, women wear a veil because they want to respect men, they want to respect the society, they want to respect their own culture. But that would not be the case in here. And understanding those differences and is really, really important. At the same time, the ethnocentrism begins when you just bring a wall in front of you. You don't want to learn. You don't want to put yourself in those shoes of the other people. Even when you're traveling to other countries, you just want to ignore what is around you and just feel you are the superior. I want to wear shorts and I want to wear my trunks in front of everyone, where may not be acceptable in that country. And accepting that and believing that you will be still accepted who you are, but also respecting others become really, really important.
Thank you so much. And I think, yes, I can relate to it because as a woman coming from an ethnic background and where you've spoken about Pakistan, in our countries, we are told to make everybody happy. And sometimes what I've seen is this kind of act and kindness, because it's ingrained in our upbringing, sometimes it is taken it's taken for granted, and
Yeah.
people take it that we would accept everything and we would not be able to retaliate back, which I think also forms the basis of ethnocentrism, because there is a superiority complex that people believe that, okay, if she's a Pakistani woman and I'm going to have her in my company, I can say anything, I can
Yeah.
make her do anything, and the same is with the Indian women as well. And now let's just shed some light. Have you ever experienced ethnocentrism yourself or from someone else? And have you ever been a part of it?
Well, yeah, as you are from the ethnic diverse background, so am I. I am Latino, half and half Middle Eastern. People sometimes assume I am from Pakistan because I have a beard and I'm a brown looking guy. So that's fine. It's all perception, and that's where the prejudices begin. And And in my Latino food, we add tomatoes and beans every time. So when I open my box in front of my office and it just smells of tomatoes, and people do kind of come in, Nigel, your food look full of tomatoes. It's always beans. I say yes, and it comments just comes every day. So it doesn't really bother me because I have brought in a culture where I have started accepting it. But people have to start realizing how to put it across their thoughts, because it can be really, it is judgmental, but at the same time, it can offend me. When I'm not in a good mood, I might say, shut up. I just let me eat my food. And this is where you have to be very considerate. You have to be very mindful that when you are seeing the difference from your own culture in the other part, then how do you convey that? What do you want to learn? You could just say, oh, Nigel, your food is looking really colorful. What do you eat? It's really nice. So other than saying, oh, it's all these beans you bring in the for your food. So I do experience in a huge extent. And my mom is Latina, but my dad is a Middle Eastern, and he has a very different wearing style. He wears kurta pajamas sometimes when people look at him and keep asking. And someone else have ever been a part of it, your question? Yes, I have a friend who is Sikh. He wears a turban. And as you know, the recent the fight or the struggle that the Sikh community went through in the down south because of wearing turban and the racism,
Yeah.
and all the fight,
Mm.
terrorism, racism begins from ethnocentricism, where if you don't believe the other culture, there will be a struggle, there will be a fight, there will be racism comments coming in your daily life. George Floyd dying, or Sikh community, we're going through all that. It begins because you never thought what other people are, what people should look like, may not be like you, may not behave like you, and where these judgmental thing comes in between your culture and the other people culture, you have fight. And this is what I have experienced, I have witnessed. It's sad, but we all have to learn every day.
I think that's such a great point you have made there, that racism does root from ethnocentrism, because there's a superiority when you feels you are superior than that. And like yourself, we all go through it. I go through it as a Pakistani, Asian, Muslim woman. People question this a lot, that how I can be the founder of a charity. Even I, from the time I've started doing this EDI Dynamo stuff, everybody's asking, what do you know about equality, diversity, and inclusion? So this is, they do not understand that there is a life of ours beneath what we do. And likewise, we understand the culture here, especially when the people come here. And it's also the language barriers as well. Sometimes the language that's used here, I might not know about it, how it sound or what does it mean. So we have to be a bit mindful. And you're very right that racism starts from ethnicity. It gives actually birth to, racism, when you have that concept. So why do you think it's so important to address it right now than ever?
I think it has always been important. It is never a right time. Education is such a key thing in our life. It's like, as you would relate from coming from an ethnic diverse background, is that your parents always tell you, study well and study the right thing. And then only you will be respected in the culture. And that respect will only come when you respect others. And whatever is happening of George Floyd dying, Americans or the white Americans not understanding the black community, the community who has been living there forever. They're more American than anyone else. And even if not, just because the cultural differences and the color differences, it should not be the case you should fight and you should kill each other. And this is where the importance come in to address these things now, because that has raised a question in our people mind, that how important is the differences in races, how important is to understand other race and culture in your daily life. We have our own office culture. Every organization has their own culture. We define culture every day. This is our value, these are beliefs. But if you are not open to accept other people in your organization with different culture, then your organization will never grow. And because then only you can be productive. Then only you can serve various customers coming from different race and background. You have to have people from different backgrounds too. For that, you have to be more realism, where you have to accept people and put yourself in the shoes. Then only you can actually grow in your personal life, in your organization, and also professionally too.
That's great. Thank you. And I think, as you said, it should not be just a tick box exercise
Yeah,
for the organizations. It has to be implemented and has to be looked. And sometimes people get very offensive when they're being asked to implement it in their organizations. There's nothing to be offensive,
yeah,
because they need to understand that we do form a part of their community, and we do we all add values, and contribute to that organization as equally as everyone does. And I always see that if there are problems and issues and you dig them, there is much growth that you do. But if you are unaware and if everything is rosy, it's not,
yeah,
then I think then there are issues, when you
yeah.
actually try and find it. And I think that's what I would really like to highlight that Dynamo is doing at the moment. They are doing research around EDI in the tech sector in Northeast. So before we go on to the food for thought, what do you see and how do you see that the diversity in the tech sector in the Northeast, because you work in the Northeast?
Yeah, I think the Northeast has always struggled with the diversity. It is. I'm happy to accept that. And as personally, I think when living in Newcastle, being the tech hub in itself, it's so difficult to attract even talent coming from their diverse background. And we are struggling every day. We are trying to attract people from different diverse background. We are changing the way we used to traditionally advertise roles, how to make it more effective and more interesting for the people and community, change a way we even interview people on day-to-day basis, having those percentages of gender, for example, or 50-50 split in our graduates and making it happen. And which colleges and universities which has a huge diversity background representations, going to even down south or anywhere where people can relocate and join Sage in Newcastle or the locations. It becomes important that you start thinking widely and not just follow your traditional way of hiring people or retaining people. It's really, really important. When you bring in people, how do you make it inclusive? How do you make them feel belong? And that is where we rebranded our DNI as Sage Belong. And every branding says belong. That means whoever you are, you belong to this organization. And we respect you for who you are. It's whether you are gay, whether you're lesbian, whether you're female, whether you're male, whether you come from ethnic background or you are white, doesn't really matter to us. What it matters is that what you bring in the organization as your culture, as your values, as your belief, and that is really, really important for you.
That's great. So, Sage Belong. I think that is something that I have taken. It's such a beautiful thought. And I think everybody should have that sense of belonging. That's what we all cater for. And we spend more time at our workplaces than our homes. So, it has to be a place of belonging where everybody's is subjected to feel empowered, where everybody feels safe and supported, and they feel valued. So obviously, we're just about to end to the show, but before we go, what is your food for thought?
Respect your own culture and respect others. I think this is what I have been told by my mom all the time. I grew up as a gay man. I grew up in ethnic culture background. I knew there will be differences. There will be people who won't like me. But only she said one thing to me is that always believe in yourself. And if other people don't believe you, then challenge them and ask them. Just don't accept it. And I think that is what I would tell everyone. Just try to go ahead and do whatever you have to do to make yourself visible in the world. Just don't sit there and be oppressed. Thank you.
That's great. And on that note, this is exactly what Dynamo Northeast is doing in the tech sector in Northeast. Embrace it, dignify it, and inspire it. Embrace who you are and dignify from the people who are around you. Like I have been totally inspired by Nigel today on our show, and inspire that rest, respect your culture, respect who you are, believe in yourself. You don't have to change for no one. I love my black hair and I'm never going to change that. And I love my sari, so I'm not never going to change that too. So it's just like, and yes, it is difficult. You are going to be faced by people, you are going to be questioned, but it's likewise, it's a two-way process. We have accepted Britain and have accepted, we all have British values. In the same way, Britain has to accept us, and we need to make our place and do not, as Nigel has said, challenge it. Don't be oppressed by it. So thank you so much, Nigel, for joining us today. It's been lovely having you on the show. Thank you so much for inspiring so many other people who might be listening and who will be viewing this on the YouTube. What I would say is please do subscribe to our channel, follow us on the social media, and turn to our website. Uh, Everyone who's been on our show today, Sage Belong is something that we need to take today forward. So www.sage.com is somewhere where you can go find out. As Nigel has said, there are opportunities there. Please get in touch, and you would be directed from there. If you would like to know more about Dynamo Northeast, campaign around EDI, head on to Dynamo Northeast website and look on project clusters for the EDI. So I would like to say thank you so much, Nigel. Once again, it's been lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you, Faria, for inviting me. It was really a pleasure, mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are just ending the show now. It's been lovely. We are heading towards Christmas, so I wish you all a Merry Christmas. If you would like to speak to me and get in touch around ETI, or you would like to share any views or be a part of the show, please email me at faria.usman@dynamonortheast.co.uk. And I will see you in New Year with another episode and with another amazing guest. Thank you so much.